is to show the proper method of installing a handle on the main jack assembly of an Akodi pallet jack. The pallet jack is typically shipped in two parts, and the handle will be separate from the main jack. When unpacking the jack, you will find each jack has a corresponding number to number that will be the same in the handle and the main body, that are checked at the factory and made sure that they fit. So it's best to try and match the two up at the same time when you're installing the jack handle. The jack has a safety pin that keeps the main spring compressed while it's in shipping, and to allow for the jack handle to be safely installed prior to this being removed. Don't take this pin out until this jack is completely assembled, because it will create all kinds of difficulty for you in having to have this pin recompressed in order to reassemble the jack. The jack handle has a main pin that goes from one side to the other, and coming from the factory, it's set up just this way. You will have one pin that is partway through that needs to be pushed down all of the way. The other one needs to be popped out so that this pin can be easily slid out in order to install the jack handle. So in this case, you have one of the safety pins here that we just pound back in, and for that we just use a ball peen hammer. And for taking the pin out on the other side, we simply use vice grips with an Allen key in it that is the right size as the hole, so that we can pound this through and punch that pin out. So, pins out. At this point, you can pull this bar out of its slot. You will notice that top has this notch in it, and that notch always faces forward on this connecting bar. So at this point, you take the handle and leave the chain hanging out of the way, set the handle in place, and take the connecting bar in exactly this manner and put it back in through the handle and into place here. At that point, the handle fits freely. This safety pin remains in place, and now we run this pin back into place. Evenly spaced on either side so that nothing catches on it and it's securely in place. Now, you have the chain that needs to be attached to the jack. The chain goes through the top of this connecting bar, and for that you just, it takes a bit of finagling to get one's fingers in to put the main bolt head of the chain through that slot in the connecting bar that sometimes is a bit finicky, but once you've started it, it's easy to come through in this case. So now the chain has gone through. It's over top of the roller bar. Here's the roller bar. The chain has to be on top. And then at this point, it goes down through this connecting rod, again with the slot facing forward and up, and in this position. There is a lever at the bottom of the jack that is controlled by the lever at the top of the jack. In the Akodi jack, there are two spots that you can release the pressure on the jack to lower it. One is at the bottom where you've got a foot release here, and at the top you've got a hand release. The chain is controlled by this hand release at the top. So at this point, I don't know if you can see this, you will see the the chain has a lock nut on the bottom and adjustable nut at the top. So at this point, what you want to do is push the lever down that controls the foot pedal and just slide the chain onto the lever. Get it here. There's a small fork in the lever. Push the chain through, drop it down, and then adjust the top nut down. All that does is keep it in place. The nut at the bottom is a lock nut, and that's factory set, so you shouldn't have to be adjusting that. Once you get this one snug, then you can then push down the handle of the jack, pull the safety pin out, and the jack is ready for use. You will find a bit of squeaking in the jack, in the main pump shaft, and in this spring, and that's purely because the jack is brand new, and it will take a few rotations or few operations in order to get the lubrication in it so that that squeaking goes away. And now you have a jack that's fully complete.